Hi dear students. So here today we will discuss about the component of a vector A in 3 dimensions. We have already studied the component of vector in a plane. That means in two dimension we have studied that. Suppose the vector if it is A, then AX and AY, where the angle where AX is the component of vector in the x-axis, and with the direction it will be AX I cap, and in y direction it will be AY j cap. And if the angle between the vector and x-axis if it is theta, then x component, the magnitude of the x component will be A cos theta, and as well the magnitude of the y component will be A sin theta. These things we have studied. So now let us come to the 3 dimension. You can see the x, y and z axis are given, and here you are having the vector A. So this is the x axis, y axis and z axis, and the vector A is in the plane, not in the plane, it is in the space. That means in between both on the x axis, y axis and z axis, the A is having the values. The position values, if you want to define the position of the vector A, you have to consider all 3 axes, that x, y and z. The angle between the vector A and the x axis, it is alpha. Okay, so angle between A and vector A and x axis, it is alpha. So the magnitude of Ax will be A cos alpha. We have studied that one in the previous section. Whenever we have considered the vector in a plane or in a vector in 2 dimension, we have seen that thing. So here Ax, the vector A is making an angle alpha with the x axis, so the magnitude of Ax will be A cos alpha. Likewise, the A is making an angle beta with the y axis. Okay, beta with the y axis. So the magnitude of Ay will be is equal to A cos beta, and the vector A is making an angle gamma with the z axis. Okay, gamma with z axis. Just consider this one as in a 3-dimensional structure, then you can understand this one easily. So the angle between the vector A and z axis, it is gamma. So you can say the magnitude of A z will be is equal to A cos gamma. Okay, so there will be 3 components in 3 dimension for a vector, one in the x axis, then y axis and in z axis. Okay, so as the angles between x axis and the vector A is alpha, so the magnitude of Ax will be A cos alpha, and Ay will be A cos beta, and Az will be A cos gamma, where the angle between z axis and vector A is gamma. So magnitude of Az is A cos gamma. Now, so the vector A is having the 3 components: Ax in the x axis, Ay in the y axis, and Az in the z axis. So with the direction, so the magnitude of A in the magnitude of the component of vector A in the x axis, it is Ax, that of that in y-axis it is ay, and in z-axis it is az. So you can see that these are the magnitudes, scalar quantities only. So if you are multiplying it with the unit vector, then you will get the vector value with the direction, both the direction and the magnitude. So for the x-axis, we have discussed in the last class that the unit vector is I cap. So the ax I cap will be the vector component in the x-axis. Ay j cap is the vector component in y-axis, and a z k cap is the vector component in the z-axis. So if you are taking the sum of all three, you will obtain the resultant vector, that is a. Actually, a is the sum of ax I cap and ay j cap and az k cap, because ax, ay and az are the component vectors of vector a. So you are having the vector a as ax I cap plus aj k cap plus az k cap. Now if you want to find the magnitude of a will be is equal to, in the case of two dimension, we have seen that suppose the a is given as the sum of b and c, then the magnitude of a will be is equal to root of b square plus c square. The same way here, the vector a is given as the sum of ax I cap, ay j cap and az k cap. Then the root square of the sum of the squares of the component vectors magnitude will be is equal to the magnitude of the resultant vector. So root square of sum of squares of magnitude of the component vectors, ax square plus ay square plus az square, all root will be the magnitude of the resultant vector, that is capital A. So a position vector. Now let us come to a position vector. The position vector r can be expressed as, so it is representing a particular position, which can be represented as r is equal to the magnitude of the x component into I cap. It means you are considering that one as the vector, where small x is the x component, small y is the y component, and z is the z component, the magnitude of the component. Okay, and when you are multiplying it with the unit vector, that will become the vector quantities, and the capital R, that is the position vector of a particular point, then that will be the magnitude of x component into I cap plus the magnitude of y component into j cap plus the magnitude of z component into k cap, where the x, y, z are the components of R along x axis, y axis and z axis respectively. Okay, so in 3 dimension, the position vector will contain 3 components, one in x axis, another one in y axis, and one in the z axis. Now let us consider two vectors a and b in xy plane with the component ax and ay and bx and by. So the graphical method of vector addition we have discussed. Now we will discuss the analytical method of the vector addition and subtraction. So two vectors we are having, one is the A and another one is B, where the x and y components of vector A is Ax and Ay, whereas the x and y components of vector B it is Bx and By. So first of all, the A can be written as, vector A can be written as Ax I cap plus Ay j cap, where Ax is the x component and Ay is the y component. This is the magnitude of x component and y component. Then if you are multiplying that with the I cap, that means the unit vector in the x-axis and y cap, that is the unit vector in the, sorry, j cap, that is the unit vector in the y-axis. Then you can obtain the resultant vector A. Okay. As well, the B as Bx I cap plus V by B by j cap. Now you are going to find out the sum of these individual vectors, vector A and vector B, where you have already written, or where you have already found the components of the, or in terms of, you have already written the vector A and vector B in terms of the components. Okay. So R is equal to A plus B. R is the sum of both vector A and B, where A you can write in component form, that is Ax I cap plus Ay j cap, Ax I cap plus Ay j cap, and the vector B will be Bx I cap plus By j cap. Now you know that the vector addition is commutative and as well associative. They are following the commutative law and associative law. So we can rearrange them in such a way: R is equal to Ax plus Bx I cap. Okay, Ax plus Bx I cap plus Ay plus By j cap. So the x components of A and B we have arranged together, and the y components of A and B have arranged in another group. So where Ax plus Bx I cap will be is equal to Rx I cap, and Ay plus By j cap will become Ry j cap. And where Rx is the, actually that is the magnitude, that is Ax plus Bx, and Ry it is Ay plus By. So you can see that if you are considering the vector R, where Rx is the x component of the vector R and Ry is the magnitude of a y component in the vector R, and in terms of Ax and Bx, where Rx will be is equal to Ax plus Bx and Ry will be is equal to Ay plus By. So we can say that each component of vector R, that is the resultant vector, is the sum of the corresponding components of A and B. If you are considering the x component of R, then it should be the sum of the x components of A and B. Suppose if you are considering in 3 dimension, a C vector is also there, then Rx will be is equal to Ax plus Bx plus Cx. Okay. Now in 3 dimension, 2 vectors, we are taking the sum of 2 vectors, that is A and B, where the x component is, the magnitude of x component it is Ax, y component for A it is Ax, and for y component it is Ay, and for z component it is Az. As well for B it is Bx, By and Bz respectively for the components in the x, y and z axis. And then R, the sum or the resultant vector R will be is equal to A plus B, that will be is equal to Rx I cap plus Ry j cap plus Rz k cap, where the Rx is Ax plus Bx, Ry is Ay plus By, and Rz will be is equal to Az plus Bz. Okay. So remember that one. Suppose if you are taking the sum of two individual vectors, then the resultant vectors x component or y component, consider the x component, will be the sum of the the magnitude of the x component of the resultant vector will be the sum of the magnitudes of the individual vectors for which you are taking the sum. Suppose a and b, then Rx will be is equal to Ax plus Bx, which we can apply both in 2 dimension as well in the 3 dimension also. Now as well, here 3 vectors are given, a, b and c. The component, in component form also it is given, that is Ax I cap plus Ay j cap plus Az k cap. B is Bx I cap plus By j cap plus Bz k cap, and C it is Cx I cap plus Cy j cap plus Cz k cap. We have to find out the value, that is the resultant vector t is equal to vector A plus vector B minus vector C. So you can see in all the component forms, A plus, suppose Tx, the resultant vector's magnitude in the x-axis will be Ax plus Bx minus Cx, because we are the sum of the, we are doing the operation is like that, from the sum of A plus B you are subtracting C. Okay, so Ax plus Bx minus C, then y component of the resultant vector will be is equal to the magnitude of y component of resultant vector will be is equal to Ay plus By minus Cy, because our operation is like that, A plus B minus C, A plus B minus C. So by using this method you can do both subtraction and summation. Both operations can be done. Now let us consider the motion in a plane. So we have already discussed the motion in a straight line. Now let us discuss about the motion in a plane. So whenever considering the motion in a plane, you should, first of all, you should have an idea about the position vector and displacement. Then we will discuss the velocity and acceleration. So first of all, the position vector. Here you are having a point P, and the OP, which is represented as the vector small r. The x component of the vector, it is xi cap, and y component it is yj cap. So by using the parallelogram law, you can write this one as r is equal to xi cap plus yj cap. So here the position vector r, that means in between origin and the particular point. So here that point it is P, and we have joined a line from the origin to that point, and that is the vector r. We can say that is the position vector of the point P, or the particle located at the point P, where the reference frames are x-axis and y-axis. So you should you can find out the x component and y component. So here we have considered the x component as xi cap and y component of the vector r as yj cap. So using the parallelogram law, the r will be is equal to xi plus yj cap. So that is the position vector of the point P. The position vector should be begin from origin and end at the particular point for which we are finding the, or for which you are considering the position vector. Now the displacement vector. So displacement vector is actually the difference between, or the distance between two points. So here you are having 2 points, that is P and P dash. We can say the P, at the point, the particle was at the point at a time t, and at a point p dash at a time t dash, where the position vector of p, it is r. R is the position vector of p, and r dash is the position vector of p dash. So if a particle moves along the curve in 2 dimension and is at p at a time t and p dash at time t dash, then the displacement vector delta r will be is equal to r dash minus r. This is the difference between the position vector of the particle at a final time and the final position and the initial position. So vector r is, the displacement vector delta r is r dash minus r, and its direction will be from p to p dash, initial point to the final point. So if the r dash and r are given in the component form, the r dash components, the x and y components are x dash I cap and y dash j cap, and as well for r, if it is x I cap plus x I cap and y j cap, so the delta r will be is equal to x dash I cap, because r dash minus r, that is delta r, the displacement vector, the position vector of the point p dash minus the position vector of the point p. So x dash I cap plus y dash j cap minus x I cap plus y j cap. So it will be x dash I cap or x dash minus x I cap plus y dash minus y j cap delta r is equal to vectors. So which can be written as the x dash minus x will be considered as delta x, and y dash minus y will be considered as delta y. So delta r will be is equal to I delta x or delta x I cap plus delta y j cap. In the description it is given that delta x is equal to x dash minus x and delta y is equal to y dash minus y. The subtraction operation we have done over there. Okay. So position vector and displacement vectors are clear. Now let us come to the velocity. Velocity is actually the average velocity we are defining now first. The average velocity is the displacement divided by the time taken for that particular movement or the motion. Means delta r by delta t, that is the average velocity. So method to find out the delta r we have already derived now. So in the first graph you can see delta r1, in the first graph delta r1, delta r2, delta r3, and in the third one we can say delta r4, but that is 0. Okay, for a particular point only we are considering the time interval, it is 0 only. Here the time interval in the first figure A, the time interval is little bit larger and the displacement is also larger. Now in the second one the time interval is reduced and delta r2 is also getting reduced, and in the third one again delta r3, where the time interval is small compared to that of A and B. Okay, the first and the second case, if you are comparing with the third one, the time interval and the position vector, the displacement vectors are very small. In the third one, we are just finding out the velocity of one particular point, that is for the one particular time, that is actually known as the instantaneous velocity. So let us come to the derivation of the velocity in terms of the components of the vectors, component vectors. So the average velocity v of an object is the ratio of the displacement and the corresponding time interval. V bar is equal to delta x by delta t. Here the displacement vector, if you are comparing that with the last case, the displacement vector was delta r. So v bar will be equal to delta r by delta t. The components of the delta r we have derived as delta xi cap plus delta yj cap, all divided by delta t. Okay, so delta r is delta xi cap plus delta yj cap. If you are comparing that with the last case where delta x was is equal to x2 minus x1, x dash minus x, and delta y was y dash minus y. So now we are not going for the individual components, just we are considering delta x and delta y. So by rearranging that equation, we will get the delta xi cap plus delta yj cap divided by delta t as I into delta x by delta t plus j in delta y by delta t, where delta x by delta t is actually the velocity component in the x-axis, and delta y by delta t is the average velocity component in the y-axis. So the average velocity in vector notation, the average velocity will be equal to the magnitude of velocity in x-axis I cap plus the magnitude of velocity in y-axis j cap. That is, v bar is equal to v bar x I cap plus v bar y j cap. So the average velocity value is always the displacement divided by the time interval. Now if these values, that means the time interval, if it is tending to 0, if it is coming to 0, that is if you are considering the time interval as 0, that means the time will be a particular one only. T2 minus T1 will be 0. If T2 and T1 are equal, then T2 minus T1 will become 0. That means the velocity at a particular point is known as the instantaneous velocity, where limit delta t, the time interval, should be tending to 0. Then delta r by delta t can be written as dr by dt, and that is known as the instantaneous velocity. So it is represented clearly in this diagram. The first one, the delta r1 value is greater or larger compared to the next two ones. So actually it is tending to the velocity value delta t is tending to 0. This one is a larger one, getting smaller, getting again smaller, and it become 0. So these are the velocity components, or we have defined the average velocity in the case of a two-dimensional motion. The same can be done in the three-dimension also. There the z component also will be, you have to consider the z component also. And instantaneous velocity also we have derived. I think these much things are clear. And regarding the acceleration and all the other things, we will continue those topics in our coming classes. Okay, thank you. Wish you have a nice day.